Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mina, and as you could tell from today's video, I'm not actually at home within my apartment. If you watched my last video, which should go up before this one, you'll know that me and my husband are away this weekend in an Airbnb in upstate New York, so that is where I'm filming currently. And this video is going to be something that I haven't done on my channel yet, so I'm really excited to do this. I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys sent in, and I posted this on my Instagram story at the beginning of this week, and I realized that I should have mentioned it somewhere on YouTube. I did mention it in like the description of my last video, but I don't know if anybody really saw that, so I didn't get too many questions. But I did get a few and I did want to answer them for you guys. And this could just be like a part one Q&A since, you know, I'm just starting out with my YouTube channel and I wanted you guys to get to know me a little bit more and to kind of participate in my videos somehow by giving me your own questions. So thank you to everybody who did send me a question on Instagram. I love when you guys ask questions. I love when you guys engage and comment. So, thank you. So some of these questions are book related and some of them are not book related, which is fine. I did ask you guys to send me both book related and non-book related questions. So it's kind of a mix of both. So let's just go ahead and start with the first question. I got this question. It says, who is your favorite movie director? And I love this because I am a huge like film buff, film fan type person, and I do have favorite directors. I don't have like a one single favorite. I have a few that I love, so I'm just going to tell you guys my top like 4. So I absolutely love David Fincher films. I think that his films are so well done, so creative. I feel like there's always this like beautiful aesthetic on his films. I absolutely love Gone Girl. I love Zodiac, I love Seven, and I love Mindhunter, which is his TV show on Netflix. So definitely David Fincher. I'm also a huge Christopher Nolan fan. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I love Inception. I love The Prestige. So Christopher Nolan is up there for me. And of course, I cannot forget my OG favorite director, which is Wes Craven, who directed the Scream series. And if you know me and how much I love horror and how much I love Scream, you probably saw that one coming, but I love Wes Craven films. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, and I just think that his creativity when it comes to horror is just very unique, so I appreciate that about his movies. And then I also really enjoy Denis Villeneuve, who directed Prisoners and Arrival, I think. And he does have a couple of other movies out that I would like to check out. So those are like my top 4 favorite directors. The next question is, do you have a favorite band or favorite artist? And I have like, again, a couple of favorites. I don't really have like one. A lot of the music that I listen to, I hear in like movies and TV shows, specifically Grey's Anatomy. They have incredible music. So most of the people that I listen to and the music that I listen to comes from Grey's. That being said, I really like listening to Sleeping at Last, which is an artist that I learned from Grey's Anatomy, and I just think that his music is so beautiful and so peaceful, and there's just something so like unique about his music, and if you listen to it, you know what I'm talking about. But I love Sleeping at Last. I also like more popular artists like Ariana Grande, Halsey. I love Khalid's music, just a bunch of different people. I don't have like an ultimate favorite. Okay, so the next question is there a book series or author that you will never read? And this is a really good question because you guys know that I'm very particular when it comes to my reading tastes. I pretty much only read thrillers, horror, and sci-fi. Occasionally I will read outside of those genres, but in terms of things that I will not read, this isn't really an author, but more like genre-wise, I do not like fantasy. I just cannot connect to it. I think other than reading like the Harry Potter series as a child and a teenager, and Twilight as a teenager, I don't pick up any fantasy books. I just can't like get into them, and I just like can't see myself like sitting there and reading like a 500-page Sarah J Maas fantasy book or like a Brandon Sanderson book. So like no shade to those authors, like I'm sure they're great and I'm sure people who love them for many different reasons, but in terms of like what I like, I would just never pick up books by those authors and books in that genre in general. The next question is, what is your favorite book cover that you own? And I kind of wish that I prepared by actually bringing a couple of my favorites with me, but I completely forgot. So I will just describe them to you, or if I find a picture, I can kind of post them here. But this is a hard question. I really like the cover of The Martian by Andy Weir. I love anything like space related, like the aesthetic of like space things is just what I love. So the fact that it's like an astronaut, and I love like the gradient of colors and the orange and the red kind of like blending into each other, and the fact that it's like kind of foggy and mysterious looking. I absolutely love that cover so much. I also really love the cover of Clown in a Cornfield, which was one of my favorite books to read this year. I think that that book is so cool. It looks exactly like an old school 80s horror film like movie poster, which is awesome. And what else do I love? I like a lot of books with like nature on the cover, like trees and mountains, like things like that. I can't think of any like on the top of my head, but that's usually like the look that I really like. And what else do I love? Even though I didn't finish this book, I really do like the cover of Wilder Girls. I think it is so creepy and just weird, but also like beautiful in a way. So I really do appreciate a lot of like YA covers, which is interesting because I don't read a lot of YA books, but I think that they have some of the most beautiful covers. So those are a few of my favorites. The next question is, have you read any Star Wars books and have recommendations for where to start? And I love, love, love Star Wars, as you can tell from the title of my booktube and my bookstagram. I haven't read too many Star Wars books though. I've only like read 3 Star Wars books in total. So I'm not like the guide to Star Wars books, but I would like to read more and kind of venture into the universe. I'm kind of just a little bit intimidated about getting into different books. I also don't really want to read anything that's not considered canon, and I know that there are like hundreds of non-canon Star Wars novels, so I'm trying to like educate myself, I guess, and do research on what's canon and what's not canon. The 3 books that I have read, 2 of them I absolutely loved. One of them was like and the reason why is because I really only care about the characters that we know from the films. And I know that that sounds crazy, and I'm sure that there are awesome stories and awesome characters that are outside of like the film Star Wars universe, but like that's what interests me when it comes to Star Wars. So I really did love The Queen's Shadow, which is a book about Padme Amidala, and I believe it takes place in between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and it's kind of just following her perspective and the perspective of one of her handmaidens, and it's just like a behind-the-scenes look at how her group of women work and the political like ongoings during that time. And I just think it's such a beautiful story showing Padme's character and how responsible, how mature she is. I absolutely love her character, and I think that that is an excellent book for anybody who loves Star Wars and anybody who's like a young female preteen. I feel like that that's a really great book for that audience. I also absolutely loved the book The Master and Apprentice, which is a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is my favorite Star Wars character of all time, and also his relationship with Qui-Gon Jinn, who is his master at the time. So this takes place before the prequel trilogy, and anything canon with Obi-Wan I will always pick up. So that's just That's my favorite character. But this one was really interesting. It was focusing on the dynamic between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's relationship, and I always found that the relationship between Master and like Jedi apprentice was so fascinating. So any book like that I would probably pick up and read, but specifically these characters were just super intriguing. They had like a really interesting banter-like relationship, and I loved that it focused a lot on like prophecies and how believing in prophecies and like thinking about the future and like telling the future could lead you down to like a dark path. So I thought that that was really interesting. The third Star Wars book that I read was part of the Aftermath trilogy, and that one focused on completely different set of characters in the Star Wars universe that I'd never heard of. So it was a little bit slow for me, and I didn't really care too much about the story and the characters. So I would recommend the first two that I mentioned. Next question is also Star Wars related, and I love this question. If you could choose one Star Wars planet to visit, where would you go? I'm like obsessed with Star Wars planets, so this is like the perfect question for me. There's a couple that I would want to visit, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but my favorite Star Wars planet of all time is Tatooine. I love the aesthetic of it. I know it's like a desert planet and it doesn't seem like a beautiful place to visit, but I just love like the architectural style of the buildings, and I just love that there's so much history there. So I feel like that's a place that I would like to visit. I also think that Bespin is beautiful, the Cloud City, and I think that I would want to visit Naboo as well. Okay, moving on to the next question. What is the best film adaptation of a book that you read? And this is like so freaking hard because I don't know. I think that I would have to just go with Gone Girl, because I think that that book and film translated so well, and I loved both of them equally. I actually watched the film before I read the book, and I loved the film so much that I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna go back and read the book, even though I already saw the movie. And they're just both excellent. And I think part of the reason why is because Gillian Flynn did write the screenplay of the movie, so I feel like that contributed to how well the adaptation was. But I just felt like the movie was super faithful to the book, and it just did it justice, in my opinion. Okay, next question. If you could change your name to something else, what would you change it to? And I've never even thought about this question. I don't think I've thought about it. Like, I'm not crazy about my name, like I don't like love it. So technically Mina is just a nickname. That's not like my real name. I do go by Mina with my close friends and my family, and obviously here on social media I go by Mina, but my real name is Yasmin, or Yasmin in English, and like I like my name in Arabic as Yasmin, but I'm not crazy about like the English pronunciation of Yasmin, or some people call me Jasmine, some people call me Yasmin, so I don't really like care for that American English way of pronouncing my name. But I never really thought about another name that I would want. I really like the name Sabrina. I think it's a beautiful name, so maybe Sabrina? I don't know. Do I look like a Sabrina? I feel like I could pass for a Sabrina. Next question, what song would you want playing every time you walked into a room? Is such an interesting question, because again, I have never thought about this, and I'm like wondering if it would be a song that would like describe me, or if it would just be like my favorite song. So I'm just gonna go with my favorite song. My favorite song is Somewhere Only We Know by Keen. And again, this is a song I was introduced to by Grey's Anatomy, and so I just love it, and I have so much feels and like emotions every time I hear that song. I think it's beautiful. I think the music is beautiful. The lyrics are beautiful. And so like I would want people to hear that song every time I walked into a room, because I would want them to like experience the same emotions that I feel when I hear that song. I know nobody will feel the same way, but That's just my logic. Next question, any advice for someone who wants to finish a few books before buying new ones? I'm actually the worst at this. Well, not the worst, but I'm not really great at keeping up with the books that I've purchased before buying new ones. So if anybody else has advice, please leave it below for all of us who are struggling. But I think what I would say is to put yourself on a book buying ban, and I did this back in September and it actually really helped me. I just didn't buy books for an entire month and tried to read some things that I already had. I'm just a naturally slow reader to begin with, so keeping up with the books that I buy is kind of difficult for me to begin with. But I think that if you set yourself on this book buying ban and you have this goal, I'm not gonna buy any new books for a month or 2 months or whatever, you'll allow yourself to get to the books that you already do own. And I think just like unhauling books or like getting rid of some books in your collection that you either know you're not going to read or you know you're not going to get to, or books that you've read that you're not crazy about, will just like make your collection smaller and more manageable. So that's something that I need to do actually. I need to get rid of some books that I own. The next question is, what is your favorite Disney park? My favorite Disney park is Epcot. I love Magic Kingdom, I love Animal Kingdom, but I don't know, there's just something like super nostalgic to me about Epcot. I just love the Future World section of Epcot. It's so like 80s and like retro and like space related. I'm not crazy about like what they're planning to do, you know, through the renovations, but the original Epcot that I know and love is like my absolute favorite. They have Soarin', they have Test Track. It's just Spaceship Earth, beautiful. Next question, favorite Disney sidekick. And I think I would have to go with Mushu from Mulan. I just think that he is so helpful compared to like other sidekicks. He actually gives good advice. He actually does things to help Mulan when she's in trouble, and he's funny and smart, so I think I would go with Mushu. Okay, last couple of questions. Do you relate more with Padme or with Leia? And this is a hard one because I feel like both Padme and Leia have a lot of similar characteristics. They're both super rebellious, they're both super strong, independent women, and I would like to relate to either of them. I think I like Padme's character a little bit more. I just think there's something more interesting and mysterious about her, and she uses like her voice and her, I guess her power in the Senate and like her political power, I'm trying to say, and her words and intellect and things like that to make change happen, and I like really appreciate that. She also does take action in the same way that like Leia takes action and like physically does things, but I feel like there's something so admirable about Padme and the fact that she uses like her political power for good. So I would like to relate more to Padme, but I don't know who I actually do relate more to. I feel like somebody else would need to answer that for me. And then the last question, what do you use to prevent your kittens to not scratch your couches? This is a great question, and if somebody could give me the answer to this, I would really appreciate that. So the cats don't really scratch the couches anymore because we did put down these like couch covers, and so that kind of just keeps the couches clean and neat so that, you know, nothing messes up the couch, whether it's them scratching or anything spilling. You can just wash the couch cover and you can just get it on Amazon. I also bought these like clear, like these translucent plastic like adhesive pieces that stick to the sides of the couch so that they don't scratch the side, and that's been working more or less. But what I am having a problem with is our like coffee table. It's made out of like wicker material, and so the cats obviously like to scratch that. So I don't know what to do about that. They're like messing up my freaking coffee table and I don't know what to do. But yeah, that is it for all of my questions. thank you guys so much for sending in these awesome questions. I had a lot of fun answering them, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to do a part 2 of this and get some questions from my YouTube subscribers. So if you are interested in seeing me do another Q&A, leave some questions in the comments down below, and when I get enough questions, I will eventually film another part or another version of this. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful day today. Bye guys!